What's going on, everyone? Let me flip this around here. Okay, well, I'm gonna dig right in here just because it's on my mind, and I don't really require an audience currently to speak on this, but I kind of wanted to dig into the types of behavioral response mechanisms that people have, whether they're what you'd call cluster B personality disorders, narcissism, and even I'd go so far as to say that, and I've said this before, that autism, spectrum autism, and behaviors of people are only a result of how absurdly disgusting and filthy and sick and absurd just how society is at large. It's my favorite quote that I use all the time, and it's that Jiddu Krishnamurti quote about it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And so what we see here is what can we see as any level of health that people have, mentally, physically, spiritually, if we want to divide it up that way, but they're all part of the same game. What does it look like? How should you feel? How should you emote? How should you respond to anything? Because I find so many things that I get involved with, that I look at, that I interacting with people. I've had some very funny interactions with people, and that somehow I'm supposed to change the way that I see truth, that I view the world, the way that I speak, to make safe passage for their mental inadequacies. I'll give you a short little story, and I'll see if I can turn this into a larger talk on just how people think and how people respond, and how society molds people to the preferred reaction to environment. How people think professionalism works, how people think you need to act in certain areas, how you need to respond, how you need to be. I was getting some tacos the other day. I was sitting at a bar, and there was one seat left, and somebody sat down. So the girl sits down next to me and says, "Is this taken?" I was like, "You feel free to sit there." I'm having a conversation with the bartender about where has he lived, and we're talking about different parts of New Orleans, and he was saying like, oh, he's been around, and it got to the point of saying, well, have you ever been out of this state? Have you been to the Northeast? It turns into this conversation about places that I've been, and I said something to the effect of New York City is an awful place, and New York City is a cancer on society. That it is actually just like LA, just like Chicago, what these places are is disgusting, filthy. It breeds insanity. And the girl sitting next to me that I'm not talking to decides to tell me that she's from New York City, and that I'm being rude, and that I've offended her. And I was like, wow, how amazing. I was like, you're from New York City? She says, yeah, Queens. I was like, you're not a very good representation of people from New York. You don't have very thick skin. And this just turned into like this diatribe, and her trying to make me feel bad for speaking what was nothing to do with her. I didn't insult her. She said I insulted her. I was rude because I was saying because she's from New York City. So I was like, are you like are you the cheerleading squad for New York City? Do you stand up for all of New York? I was like, I'm from New York. And you're sitting here giving me. So this is the kind of where we live. I couldn't quite understand it. I mean, I'm very good at goading people into conversations and debating people and things, but this is a standard time that I watch happen. I watch other people do it. I'll watch interactions, and I'll even when I'm talking to people, I'm observing the interaction from behind myself as I'm interacting with people, and I just find people's level of what's the word? How entitled people believe they are. The entitlement of their space inside of their mind. That it's that whole thing of where my offense starts is where your rights stop. It's that whole that's the hoopla, that's the whole game of everything. And so we find ourselves, this is just looking at and observing, and this is not qualifying anything to be good or bad. It's just saying, well, here we are in this really absurd place, and that is the kind of person that this society has bred. And to me, in the same way, so my response to society is what? This is the response of great artists, or the response of, say, the punk rock movement, of saying, look at this, look at how retarded, look at how absurd, look at how filthy, look at the craziness of things. And now we have to walk on eggshells, tiptoe over things. We can't, no matter what you do, there's going to be someone you're going to offend, upset, no matter what. And so how is it that people should be responding? And I think that narcissism, and I think that levels to a degree, quite obviously, it's been built into the children these days from their parents, this autistic response thing. Everyone's on the scale. Well, these kids are acting this way because of literally what they're seeing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through all the media, the news, their parents, the religions, the whole system, the whole society. So how can we expect, how would we want people to act? How do we want people to, I walk down the street, and half the time I'm looking at or going to a grocery store, going to the mall, you want to scream. If you don't want to scream, you're not alive. And so it's this weird feeling of having to not deal with feelings, but have to work with everyone else's emotions, and knowing what I know about how empathy works and how feelings work and how emotions are something separate completely. I found myself watching these videos of people doing these, I did a video the other day on the cheerleading of consciousness, the cheerleaders out here trying to sell people on how to improve their lives by saying, by becoming rich and getting in the grind. But these people out here talking about empathy, and I'm like, you're living in a capitalist society with a capitalist mindset. There's nobody out here really, to any degree, that has any kind of feeling or empathy, because it gets cut off. It gets cut off from how you have to respond to whatever goes on in society. You have to interact with people that are absolutely, in the real world, fucking insane. And the most insane people, to me, are the most sane. Most, oh, okay, yeah, you see, you observe, you hear, you smell, you taste. I'm walking down this hallway and I'm smelling the perfume that is just caked on the walls, and it's just all over the place. And I'm like, it stinks. It's offensive to my being, but there's nothing I can do about it. Society accepts. They accept and congratulate and put on a pedestal people that are sick. This filthy, stinking crap that spraying on people that just poison people. Oh, they celebrate that. They want to go out. No, that's the kind of person I want to be with. They smell the way society accepts. And then all of a sudden we got these little yellow badges for people that are cancer victims. A victim of your own insanity, a victim of your own poisoning of yourself, a victim of the whole capitalist society. But all of a sudden we go, oh, they fought hard. Then they went to the doctor and they fought through chemotherapy. No, that's where are we mentally? How is it that we accept? How do we accept this kind of shit, and that we applaud it? In fact, that somebody got cancer. You don't get cancer. You give yourself cancer. You make yourself sick. I don't see. It's funny to me because whenever I go out for a couple days, have a couple drinks, I have a hangover. You know who I blame? Me. I got a hangover. I did that, and that, you know what that is? That is encouraging, because it says, you know what, then I can make a choice to do something else. If I go on, last night, I ate a bunch of sugar, just garbage. I ate a piece of cake, and I woke up and I'm just feel different, I don't feel well, have stomach aches, etc., etc. What am I going to blame the cake company? No, I did that, right? So we have this culture of just trying to always, I don't know, put on this pedestal these sick people, sick corporations, filthy, dehumanizing, all of this, and I time and time again, how do you respond to these things? I don't know that necessarily this is as usual, where I give questions and answers, and it's more of just an idea, bouncing things off of people, but how do you respond? Like, where do we get, where does this go? Where we end up just allowing for the insanity and we just allow it? Because that's what's gotten things to where it is now. The fact that it's the tiptoeing towards totalitarianism. Try saying that, tiptoeing towards totalitarianism. And it's been going on for quite a long time. We just allow habitual line steppers. And these corporations are the habitual line steppers. And then we have more and more people that join the ranks of the people that poison and abuse the population, the world, the planet, the plane, the whole population. And we sit there and we join these organizations. I mean, here's a little clue into why. Why? Because you got 3 kids that you got to feed, and that money's going to feed their face. So you don't hear them whining, because you can't see the 60,000 people that you poison by making your Merc products, that you poison by making these stupid commercials, and you don't even, you're 2 steps removed, but that 1 step, all you have is that the kid that you got to feed, or the wife you got to feed, or even self. How do we get away from the narcissistic tendency to live for self and make sure a one prime objective is to make sure I'm good? How do we get away from that, and should we? And it's built into this that everybody is a thief of energy. Everybody is a vampire of energy. So the only response that you can have is to scream and yell like an autistic child. The only thing you can do is be narcissistic and be like, fuck that, no, this ain't flying. And all of a sudden it's a problem that people are narcissistic. No, narcissism was the solution to the problem of a giant corporatocracy and a bunch of fucking insane people that are ruining your life, that person's life, your kid's life, the whole system, the whole state of being. You know, to have a kid speak up in class, to yell, to be upset, well, they've been put in a classroom setting for 8 hours a day when they should be out there enjoying the sun, getting energy, interacting with the world at large. And all of a sudden we wonder why these kids, feed them Ritalin, they're not acting the way that we need them to. This it's a bunch of adults that are demon seeds succubusing the energy and life force off the children. And so I don't know that I'm giving, again, I don't know that there's any answer here. The cognitive dissonance right is exactly what we're talking about. The people out here that speak up and say anything, they're put in the corner, put the dunce hat on. You're a dummy. What are you talking about? NASA doesn't lie. I know your government loves you. No, these people, I know somebody everybody says, I know somebody that's a doctor. They're a good person. Yeah, they're a good person, but they're part of a terrible cause. They're part of a terrible system. And so, again and again, I circle back around these concepts because I think it runs through everyone else's mind. And there's only a few people that have the capacity or the articulate quality to even speak forth the thing that people think and feel and don't know how to generate the words to, and do they have an audience, and who the fuck cares? Who cares what you think? You know, that's always the thing. People point at the thing. They're speaking my mind for me. And that's what the empath does. It's what the artist does. And so, again, I don't know that there's an answer other than everything else that I suggest in all of my videos. Fast, consume less, be less of a consumer, be a producer, do the things that make you happy and healthy, be completely, overwhelmingly, if the word becomes narcissistic, be that. I mean, it's your experience. I mean, I'm not expressing this to the point of go get yourself a disorder and be a narcissistic asshole to think that the only thing that's important is the person on the other side of the mirror, because that was the problem with Narcissus. If you really understand the depth of this, and I don't want to go too far because this is kind of for new people and for people to watch these kind of things in the future, but the deeper levels of the awareness of the mirror is another talk altogether of what the mirror is. But you certainly do exist, and you certainly do have a self, and to allow people to stand in your way of yourself, to step on your toes, to push you around mentally, physically, spiritually, that's where we have people that just habitually step over little boundaries. And then whenever somebody says, no, that's not going to happen, they go, oh, look, you're self-righteous, you asshole. They flip it around. That's the game that's always been played. And watch the Republicans and Democrats argue. The Republicans are masters at this, but they're only showing part of the art, Republicans are always flipping around. I'm not taking a Democrat side because they're both giant piles of shit in the same stew of shit that are stirring shit around to get the population to be involved in whatever kind of incredulous, idiotic, stupid acts of terror against the society and your mind. But man, oh man, I just because I've come into contact with a few people recently, something maybe to do with the supermoon in Gemini, maybe because I'm some sort of Gemini. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know if that was on any of your all minds or your one mind. I'll dig in here and see what y'all had to say. But yeah. Oh, and Daniel Benson, I just seen that you wrote me. I'll get back to you, man. Did you hit me up on IG or something, man? I'll get back to you. What up, Jordan and Katesh? What up, Resonance? Katesh, I stopped my fast. I said I got 3 days in. Nah, and in fact, the day I got tacos, I wasn't even eating tacos. I was getting it for somebody else, but nah, fasting wouldn't be eating tacos. Yeah, Daniel Benson, I hear you on that. Once you do, once you start recycling the urine, I mean, the things come back up, stir up in the mind. And I've had a couple weird things happen with some people that like I interacted with because I knew that I needed to like hear whatever they had to say to speak it for them because they don't. I have some dreams about some things that were like, I literally had a dream about something, walked in and told somebody about their life because I could see it. And they're like, oh, that actually just happened. Like all of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Fun stuff. Because once you get into that, once you get looping the yarn, it becomes pretty intense. Katesh is well done the saying of if you don't have love, something good to say, why speak at all? I don't understand what you're saying there. Are you speaking about other people or are you speaking about me personally? I don't understand what you're saying. I mean, what is good to be spoken? The truth seems to be good enough, huh? The truth of society. What? Don't talk about the evil society and it will go away. Don't talk about the giant corporation and it will just vanish. I think they made a couple movies about that kind of concept. It hasn't seemed to have worked too well, huh? So yeah, guys, this was less of a to do a live thing. It was more of a hit record and preach some crap to people, some garbage, get the garbage out, or see if somebody else could get anything out of that. I don't know if I'm gonna go too much farther on this because I don't have much charge anyway, so I'm probably just gonna take my phone in and charge it and do like an actual interactive thing with y'all in like an hour or something, because I got a phone call to make anyways, and yeah. Man, Katesh, thank you for the advice. Yeah, abundance everywhere, right? Just because you got an abundant mindset doesn't dismiss the abundance of shit. This is what the magic teaches you. The devil is in the details. Just because you have abundance. Yeah, I got an abundance mindset. I got a mindset of abundance of all sorts of things. I'm not living in a scarcity. People do. And again, it's a reverberation of I'm not the only one here. I'm not narcissistic, and I'm not thinking that I'm the only one that has value on this planet. So that's why I do speak about these things. I would assume you wouldn't tell Martin Luther King that, or you wouldn't tell any of the great artists and preachers and to say, we must leave the mentality of that. It's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how out of what I got, again, as you always find a way to say something that it doesn't even link up in my mind how you think that I have a scarcity mindset, because I haven't been living in scarcity. Weird enough. Like how somehow you can bring it back to something that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. You're good at that. So yeah, y'all, I'm gonna go charge my phone, and I'll dig back on here in maybe like an hour, and we'll do like a little back and forth, rather than like I said, I kind of want to just put this together for future dwellers into the realm of quantum weirdness. Oh man. And Katesh, maybe I'll get into the vaccine thing next show. Yeah, the vaccine thing, I mean, obviously taking a child to a doctor ever is pretty much like taking your child to like the devil incarnate. Doctors are nothing but paid for practitioners of a very occult, and not a good occulted magic. It's an art of poisoning people. So yeah, that's got to be pretty troubling to have to do that. What up, Shirley Cortesi? Cool, I'm glad. I never seen you before. I'm glad you at least tried it, and that's kind of why the last couple videos I kind of did a couple things on like just giving people alternatives to just fasting on water, because people think fasting has to be something that it's not necessarily. So just giving people different ideas of how to lessen the intake of things that they don't need. Zet Chrono. And obviously I say I'm going to jump off of here, but I'm just getting finished up with the comments. Zet Chrono, go read John Taylor Gatto. It's The Underground History of American Education. That's going to be too big of a book. Start with the smaller ones, Dumbing Us Down, things like that. The Fourth Purpose, I think, is the other book, and I forget the other name of the other book, but they're pretty quick reads, and they're right to the point about what school systems are and where they came from. Katesh, I mean, geographic locations, you know, this gets back into liking, and you're allowed to have preference in this world. That's part of the world. That's part of the states of consciousness. There are states of consciousness that you like, and there's ones you don't like. In the same way, a state of scarcity you don't like. In the same way, I don't like the state of New York, right? And you know, as a city, it is a disease part of society. In no way is it any different. You can't just look at somebody and be like, they got a zit right there. And you're like, you got a zit right there. How dare you talk about that zit? Do you want to get cleaned up? The zit is New York City. LA is a pulpous, bulbous, disease-ridden. It's a mess there. Who would like to be there? Would you like to be there? Don't you like being in Ohio better than you like being in, say, Antarctica? I mean, this is all preferences. Life is about preferences. Again, you find a way to think it's judgment, and it's only preference. Preference is not judgment. To say that you don't like to be inside of a freezer would be correct. That you like to be, say, in the sun, that's a location. I like to be in the sun more than I like to be inside of a freezer. That seems, I like to be under this tree rather than I would be in the 9th Ward on a street corner where I'm getting not very good reception. Seems like, preference. Oh man, Captain Underpants. Somebody was telling me about watching. Oh yeah, Stephen Coe. You were telling me that. Yeah. And Shirley Cortesi. Aged urine in the skin will even do a quicker, faster, more tangible. Like after doing it once or twice, you'll notice how the quality of your skin immediately. What up, Jessica? Katesh, maybe, man, I don't know. It just, Katesh, it's just you. I don't know, and I don't know you, but it seems like you're always saying something to take the conversation off course. That's quite literally just about every time. You seem to hear what I'm saying wrong. Everyone else seems to understand what I'm saying quite correctly, and it seems like you often find some sort of dilemma with what I'm saying, that I'm saying it in a way that you're the only one that doesn't get it. The thousands of other people that I speak to, they tend to understand what I'm saying. and no, off-ended, I mean, yeah, do you take me off of a path? That's for sure. Because obviously you're on here because you like to hear my voice, or because maybe you think you might get something from me. But in the other chance that you're just finding a way to, dissect a couple things within my talks to, you have a couple times. So, I don't know. Doesn't. I don't know, man. Yeah, Stephen Code. The first one should be water to get your system kind of cleaned out. So that way, when you do the coffee enema, you're going to release the bile and the gallbladder and the liver, and that's going to have a place to go, so it's not backed up. So it's best to do a water first, and then after even. It'd be like water, then coffee, then water. If you're not going to do a lot of coffee. If you're going to do coffee, just keep doing coffee. It's doing two different things. What up, Dong Cheetle? Yeah, vibrating and getting to sleep is tough, man. Yeah, Katesh, again, I don't understand what you're saying. Spewing negativity to other people. I don't understand. Someone that's literally taking their child to a pediatrician to get injected with poison, negativity, and somehow me saying that I don't like a place on a map, and you somehow adjust that to say that I'm spewing and preaching negativity about not liking a city to someone when you're about to go. You take a child to a pediatrician. I don't quite, conceptually, we're on two different things here. I'm out here teaching people, and you can't teach people without showing them dark and light. What is love to you is something different to a million different people. So this whole 1,000 times over, this is the what I do. See the light here, the light shining forth from me. I am the sun. I'm all these things. I am the good, I am the bad, I am the devil, I am the angel, I am the demon, I am the sun, I am the light, I am the bearer of all things. And I just happen to have certain preferences. And there's plenty of ways to educate people. Steve P. Wicked, man. And Dong Cheetle, I wish I could whistle. If I was whistling, it seemed to be outward, so I don't know if I could express myself that much. We should all just keep to ourselves. That way, we don't have any human interaction. That gets in the way of everything. Radius unknown. That's a really great question, and I'll dig into that maybe in my next video. But I've covered that before, and I've had long thoughts about that. There's a lot of things that go on there, I think, with what would be considered ending a lineage. I think there's a certain amount of brilliance in it. It depends on what you think about what happens to your DNA, and if you think you can get back into another body. It depends on what you think you are and how you fit into the whole thing, and what you think of the world as a whole. Yeah, coffee, man. Daniel Benson, coffee and me don't mix too well. Sometimes a little espresso's nice, though. What's up, Pink Motorcycle? Katesh, 1,000 times over. I mean, it is. You're obscenely frustrating because every time I say something, you just replace what I've said with the word judgment. Telling somebody, look, if there's poison there and that's not poison, and I say, hey, rather than going to the pediatrician and ingesting poison, why don't you go eat those grapes right there? That to you in your mind somehow you attach to what I said that I judged something. You know, it's okay. I mean, at this point with what you say, yeah. And I also said I'm the devil, and I think you're the devil, and I think you're God too. It's all the same thing. You get wrapped up in this and want to play a game every single time I have one of these conversations, and it turns into a conversation between me and Katesh. There you go. It's always up to you. I'm glad. Have a good day, and I am too, y'all. We'll talk soon, maybe like an hour, y'all. And we'll have an open forum, and we'll get Zen's judgment on the entire world and see if I can't tell you all how it is. Have a beautiful day, everyone.